Hi, welcome to the overview video on the Unit 3 Article Evaluations assignment. So what is it that I want you to do? So using the Unit 3 Article Evaluation Worksheet document, complete the source evaluation for an additional 3 sources to use in your Unit 3 essay, along with those that you've kept from Units 1 and 2. Please understand you will only evaluate your 3 new sources. Use your approved reasons from the previous assignment to guide this process, helping to ensure that you have enough evidence to support your argument points. So if you think back to your discussion board assignment where you came up with your final research questions, your tentative position, and your reasons, use those to guide this final push for research. So as you look for your 3 new sources, consider that you may need to find additional evidence to support your established reasons. If you need additional claims and evidence after I've looked at your discussion board and given you feedback, if I give you some feedback to find additional claims, make sure you have enough content to support that thesis. Or you may find that you still need information about the most significant or most popular counter argument or even rebuttals to those counter arguments, since you will need a section in this paper for both counter arguments and rebuttals. So you're going to fill out the graphic organizer and the questions on the worksheet to help you focus your search process. As you complete the assignment, think about what type of argument position you're going to take on this topic and make sure you find articles related to that. So you're going to use databases like SIRS, EBSCOhost, and Google Scholar to start your research. You can also use a regular Google search. Now, if you're not sure whether a source you found is appropriate for this project, make sure you check with your instructor. So here are some examples of different resources you may want to consult. For example, scholarly journals. Many of these are found in databases like EBSCOhost, and when you go into EBSCOhost, you can check Master File Premier, and they often have the name journal in the title of the publication. Some do not. There are ones like Nature or the American Economic Review that are still academic journals, but these articles are going to primarily focus on fact-based research. And when you look for your sources, remember, even though you are writing an argument, most of your sources need to most of your support needs to be factual support. There are also different magazines or trade journals that are really well written and very well researched. And so some of those are linked right here for you, like Scientific America, Psychology Today, the Business Insider, the Atlantic, Time. And a lot of these magazine articles are going to report on some of the primary research found in scholarly journals. And then sometimes they are also going to be argumentative, where they take some of the factual information and create arguments. Some of these are going to be long articles, some will be short. However, you can find a lot of great information just by searching some of these types of magazines directly instead of just putting your search terms into Google. The same thing with news organizations. You have national newspapers like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. Then you have news agencies that exist online or in radio, things like NPR. And again, you can go directly to these news organizations and search them. Just be careful. They often have a paywall. So if the paywall comes up, do not pay for an article. Check the databases and see if you can find the same article through a database. There are also lots of government agencies that collect lots of data. So if you need statistics about, the number of people doing X or the number of students engaging in X, you can often search government agencies for different statistical information. So things like the National Institute of Health, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the National Center for Educational Statistics. A lot of times when you are reading newspaper and magazine articles, they are going to report data that often comes from some of these government agencies or some research organizations. The Pew Research Center is a fabulous source for statistical information about all different facets of American life. There's the American Institutes for Research, the RAND Corporation. So again, a lot of times newspapers and magazines will report on primary research from scholarly journals, but they will also use statistical information from government agencies and other research organizations. So when you are finding your final three sources, you have to keep in mind what your research questions are and what it is exactly you're going to argue. And then you may want to go directly to some of these agencies or some of these publications and search them directly instead of just searching generically on Google. Make sure you understand how this assignment will be graded. It is a 30-point assignment, and you're going to download the worksheet and complete the attached evaluation for your three new sources. You do not have to evaluate the sources you've already collected in units 1 and 2. This assignment is required college-wide by the English department, and we use it to assess students across the board for some internal assessment measures. So keep in mind, you're still on the same topic as Unit 1 and Unit 2, but you cannot use any of your old articles for this assignment. It has to be 3 new articles. So let's take a look at the assignment sheet. So I'm going to click on the article evaluation worksheet, and you're going to need to make sure that you download it to your computer and type directly into the document. So for each source, you're going to complete the same process. So I'm just going to take a look at source 1, but you know you're going to have to do 3 sources. So the first thing you're going to answer is where you found it. So if you found the source on the internet, name the search engine. If you found it on the database, name the database. EBSCOhost is not the name of the database. That's the host. You have to think about Master File Premier or Academic Search Complete, the actual database inside EBSCOhost that you use. Then you're going to list all your keywords or subject headings that you used in searching for this source. And you may not have, there's 8 boxes here. You may not have 8 keywords, but sometimes when you put a generic keyword in, you don't get exactly what you're looking for, so you add additional terms or you change those terms. So however you found this article, whatever your keyword search process was, then you're going to create a reference entry in the 7th edition of APA format. And when you turn in this source evaluation, I will provide you feedback on your reference entries for these new sources. So that way, by the time you create your planner and your paper, you will have had multiple opportunities to get feedback on all of your references, your old references from Unit 1 and 2, and now your new references for Unit 3. In addition to a reference entry, also create in-text citation so that I know you know how to cite this, especially if you're using something that has an organizational author. I want to make sure you know how to properly do a reference entry and a citation for these new sources. Once you've done that, you are going to evaluate these sources using the CRAP test. And so this was introduced in English 101, and we've seen it before in English 102 as well. So please make sure you answer all of the questions on the chart for each element of the CRAP test. So I want you to write in complete sentences. So do not just tell me the article was published in 2002. Underneath this question, you cannot simply write 2002. You need to write, this article was published in 2002. How do you know it's current? Under relevance, how does this information relate to your topic or answer any of your research questions? Who is the audience of this article? Under accuracy, where does the information come from and how is it supported by evidence or citations or hyperlinks? So for accuracy, depending on how long your article is, you might have quite a bit of information under here, because a lot of times professional writers, they might cite academic studies, they might cite people they interview, they might cite data and statistics, but you need to include under accuracy where all of the information comes from. Now, if it's a really long article, sometimes those articles might have 15 or 16 different pieces of information that's cited. I don't need you to list every single piece of information, but I need to see enough information under accuracy that it's clear to me that you understand that this information is accurate. And then how is it supported? So, do they name their sources? Are there citations or references? Academic journal articles are going to have citations and references. A lot of times online articles have hyperlinks that take you to the original source. And sometimes that's a great way for you to find better articles is by clicking the hyperlinks in an article you find, and it might take you to an even better source. For authority, this is going to be the author and the publisher. So the named author or the organizational author and either the name of the publisher or the source itself. So if the author is Jill Smith and it's published in the Washington Post, I'm going to need you to tell me about both Jill Smith and the Washington Post. Don't forget, when you're looking at authority, almost every single website or news organization is going to have a page that says about or about us. And that's where you can find out about the publisher itself. And then oftentimes when an author's name is linked in an article, you can click the link to read more about the article. You can also Google these people, find them on LinkedIn, all kinds of ways to find quality information about not just the author, but the source itself. And then tell me about the URL, .com, .org. Do we learn anything about the source based on its URL? And then finally, what's the purpose of the article? And how do you know that that's the purpose? So if the article is strictly informational, it's going to be primarily factual and it's just going to be reporting out information. Whereas if the article is trying to persuade you, there will be factual information. You are going to write an argumentative research essay. So you are going to be arguing a point of view. However, you are going to have to use facts in order to create that argument. So when you're looking at purpose, be very careful and make sure you look whether it's strictly informative or if it's persuasive, because even persuasive articles are going to have facts in them. Then, given your crack test evaluation, why is this an appropriate source for your research? Give me an overall evaluation of why it's appropriate and how it's useful. And then you will complete that same process for your second source. And finally, if I continue scrolling on the document, you'll complete that evaluation on your third source. So if you have any questions about the Unit 3 article evaluation assignment, please make sure you reach out to me. I'm here to help. Thank you.